All right, guys, the clock has struck. We'll go ahead and get started. Again, thank you so much for joining our webinar today for ProLinkHFA. Today, we're going to be discussing data views. Data views is our ad hoc reporting tool that's built into ProLinkHFA. So today's agenda, we're going to have some general information I always share at the beginning, and then we'll have a business presentation followed by a software demonstration as part of today's webinar. I am Bree Kruder. I'm the Executive VP for ProLink. I'm joined by Ryan Kim, who's our VP of Sales and Marketing, and then Jim Paris is our Sales Engineer, so he's going to be demoing for us towards the end. Okay, and quickly going over this webinar series, for those of you who are new, we host this series every month for ProLinkHFA, and the purpose of these events is to offer industry insights, talk about current hot topics, issues that are faced by the industry, things that we're hearing from our customers. So we meet with our customers on a monthly basis. We host meetings with them and we talk about industry updates and adoption needs and other strategic goal setting that they have when it comes to running their business and utilizing our tool set. And in some cases, a lot of cases, those things are industry wide. And so we try to bring some of those insights back into the setting and also offer a little bit of training along the way for our users. So we will always have a business presenter and then a technical presenter in these events, and they occur on the first Wednesday of every month until October. November, we're really excited to offer our annual conference, ProLink Tech Live 2022. So that'll be in November, and then we take December off, and then we'll start back up again in the new year. And our audience is geared towards housing agencies nationally. So both clients of ours and prospective clients, or just agencies who are interested in the topics that we're offering. So those are the folks that are joining today. And then, the topics will range. We love to get your insights. So whether you're a client of ours or not, if you have things that you want to see in this series, please contact us and let us know about those things. Our next one coming up, which I'll mention at the end as well of today's session, is our quarterly user training. So every couple of months, every few months, when we do this series, we replace that third event with our quarterly user training event, which is a little bit longer than 45 minutes. It can range between an hour and a half to 2 hours probably. So our next one coming up is July, and we're going to cover our HUD export functionality. So that's about a 2-hour session that we'll have in July, which will replace this webinar. So we look forward to seeing you there. Again, it's going to be open to anyone who wants to attend. Quickly going over ProLink, who we are, what we do. We've been in business for over 20 years. I think it's 23 at this point. We serve all the different constituents in the affordable industry, starting out in multifamily tax credit, low-income housing tax credit software, and kind of expanding from there. So we support state and local agencies, investors and syndicators in tax credits, developers. We also have a tool that supports emergency fund deployment. We're supporting the homeowner assistance fund right now with a few clients on it. So our goal is really to support the affordable housing industry across the board. We've been fortunate to have the opportunity to work with a number of different clients over the years and really build out a robust tool set to do that. And we want to help solve this problem that our nation faces. So that's our goal. That's our mission. We want to build holistic tools that support you from that very initial stage, that origination stage of your deals, all the way through your audit period of time and final disposition, and all those stages. We want to be the one-stop shop for that and make it easy to live that cycle with you and evolve with you over the years of your portfolio. Our team, we're technologists, we're a software company, but we're very mission driven. It's a priority and it's a requirement to work at our company that you are mission driven. It's something that we want to make sure we incorporate into our culture and the way that we serve our clients in everything that we do. So here's a new slide that we have put together, just highlighting some of the things that ProLink is doing. So currently we work with 15 state housing finance agencies and 2 supportive services agencies, all on ProLinkHFA. We also have our private sector clients, our syndicators, investors, and lender clients. So there's 5 of those using ProLink AIM, which is another tool that we offer. We do try to keep up industry partnerships and work with our partner leaders as much as we can, including NCSHA. So we hope to see you at that event it's already June. So we're getting ready for the conference at the end of the month with NCSHA in Chicago. We hope to see some of you there. And we also are part of the NAMA XML standard group. So we're a leader in that group. We actually host that group on ProQuorum. So that group uses ProQuorum to manage the working sessions that NAMA puts on. So that has been a great opportunity for us. And, you know, COVID remote world, the new normal, has really put us in a position to offer more opportunities for our clients in the industry for education. So we've started putting this webinar on a monthly basis. We also do a bi-monthly homeowner assistance fund focused webinar for our product called ProLink Plus, which is that emergency fund deployment tool. So we offer those. We do our ProLink Tech Live conference as much as we can really get that communication and conversation going about how technology can better serve this industry. We want to be a part of that. I think that in general, housing is underserved on all fronts. So we want to be a part of keeping up and providing, you know, the best technology, world-class technology to this industry as much as possible. And hopefully that will be a part of making this affordable housing finance, making it more efficient and providing more housing. And then finally, we have our technology team members and leadership groups that we work with, including Amazon Web Services and DocuSign. So we host all of our a lot of our infrastructure is based on Amazon Web Services, and our security is supported by all of their tools. We've been featured on Amazon's blog a couple times recently, based off of the involvement that we've had in working with QuickSight, which is our dashboard tool that we use in ProLinkHFA and our other products to provide executive level dashboarding. And DocuSign is something that we implemented into ProLink Plus to offer a more automated process for those homeowners submitting applications to quickly attest and sign that application and get it through the door. So it's great to see some of these larger organizations taking an interest in affordable housing and having the chance to work with them on some of their blogs and kind of public outreach on this issue. And just to talk, here's just the links to those, just again, talking about those blogs on all those different fronts. So a number of these have surrounded the HAF program in recent months, with that being such a significant point of interest across the country right now. So, but what is nice about that is we've had the chance to implement some of these tools and have these working relationships with these different partners, and then offer them as part of ProLinkHFA. So talking about QuickSight and that dashboard reporting, that is something that we started doing for ProLink Plus for the emergency fund deployment, getting visibility on that program. And now we just released in our latest release updated dashboards into ProLinkHFA, and it's something that we're starting a working group around with our existing clients. So something that really kind of translates across our tool set. As we learn things in one area, we try to apply them as much as possible into our other products. Here's our affordable housing technology stack, kind of bird's eye view of our tool set. So you can see ProQuorum and SmartDocs on the right-hand side, and then we have ProLinkHFA on the left. So ProQuorum is it's our collaboration portal that we use to connect with your outside parties. So that is where applications are submitted. That is where your asset managers are going to be gathering that compliance information on a regular basis. It's all really submitted and housed through Procorum. It's kind of the messy relationship room, as we call it. And then ProLinkHFA is your backend. It's your single source of record. It's that place where we keep the final copies of everything. And it's where you do your work and your analysis. So everything can be submitted through Procorum, either manually, or we use Smart Docs in the case of like needing Excel integration. So if you have data that is being submitted to you in Excel spreadsheets and it can be standardized, we use Smart Docs to map that information into ProLinkHFA and eliminate the need for manual data entry by agency staff. So that is one of the solutions that we've come up with in allowing our clients to continue to use some of their Excel models that they might want to keep in Excel, and still providing some automation to that process. So that can actually be done in both Word documents and Excel. And then again, here's just a quick picture of the different modules included in ProLinkHFA. So we're a one-stop kind of, you get a big package that you have available to you. So we don't split out the modules where you purchase one and not the others. All of our technology is made available to you. If you don't have a need for something, we can certainly hide it, but it is all there. So we have our asset management and compliance module. You can see our multifamily development and bond financing module, including tax credit allocation functionality. And then we also have single family development, REO. So those are the pieces of the pie that really make up all of ProLinkHFA. Always adding to this, always wanting to support new programs. So it is definitely an evolving tool. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to, I think, Ryan to begin our business presentation.
Thank you, Bree, for the overview. Let me share my screen. Did I share my screen, Bree?
No. Yes, you did.
I did.
I see your desktop.
Cool. Here you go. Well, thank you, everyone. We are here to talk about data views in ProLinkHFA today. I'll spend next 15 minutes to give you a data view 101, if you will, and share some of the relevant use cases that we heard from our user group. And after my presentation, our sales engineer, Jim Paris, will do a demonstration of the data view in ProLinkHFA. So what is a data view? So the first bullet, data view is an ad hoc reporting tool we have in ProLinkHFA. It exposes the data tables that are in the database in the behind the scene, and we give our users access to those raw data tables. But there's nothing crazy about data views. It is, in some ways, it looks very familiar to you because it looks just like an Excel spreadsheet. Data is displayed in rows and columns. The second bullet, data views can be overwhelming at first because we have a lot of data views. And some people ask us, why do you have so many data views? Why can't you have just one? So I'll explain why there are so many. One is ProLinkHFA has multiple modules, such as tax credit allocation, development, asset management. So each module has its own set of data views. And even within each individual module, such as, let's say, asset management module, there's a set of data views per each area of focus. So if you look at asset management, there's a data views for financials, there's a data view for inspections, there's a data view for risk assessment, and so forth. So that explains why there are so many data views in ProLinkHFA. Third bullet, data view comes with a default view, but each user has the ability to customize those views and create your own view and save it for later. When you customize, you're able to add or remove data fields to be displayed and also apply a filter. And once you save that view, you can come back and look at it again and again. Those views can be saved as private, meaning I only have access to my own private data view. but you can also keep it public, share it with your team, so everybody can share the same data view and work together on the same data view. The last bullet, data views are reporting tool, so it's strictly read-only. So in order to edit data, you cannot do it in data views. You have to go to relevant screen in ProLinkHFA and edit there. And then when you come back to data view and hit refresh, that change will be reflected in the data view. So moving on to use cases. So we spoke with some of our customers and kind of collected all the compelling use cases, how people are using data views. So the first one is ad hoc data query requests. So something like there could be some random one-off data request that's coming your way, and you have to respond to those requests. And as an end user, you might have no ability to write like SQL statements and run SQL query against the database. So data view is a great example of great tool for you to run sort of SQL query, but you can do it in a really easy way to create a list of records so that you can respond to this data request. The second use case is data error detection and cleanup. So using, again, sort of like running SQL statement concept, but you use data view to create certain set of records, and then you're able to make changes in terms of, maybe there are values that have not been populated that they should have. So you can isolate all those records and be able to make corrections. So you can use data view that way. The third use case is data view is the first step of your workflow. So if you think about any recurring asset management task, you always have to start with some kind of list, right? If you're not doing inspections or financial, you start with a list of properties and then tackle one by one. So that list that you start with can be a data view. The last one is standard reporting. So data views can be just like canned reporting. You can say, create that, customized data view, save it, name it, so that you can go back anytime and be able to provide reporting to your managers or your team. You can export data view easily into Excel, and then create graphs or, do further analysis. So data views can be used for standard reporting as well. So I'm just going to go through each use case and walk you through some of the details. Let's start with ad hoc data query requests. So examples might be, I believe a lot of state agencies have just gone through the process of responding to NCSHA's annual data survey regarding your housing credit programs in your state. So when those data requests come your way, it's only once a year. It might take just a day or two each year to respond to that data request. So it feels a little bit of one-off. And how do you handle that? That would be one example of data query request. The second bullet, it could be whatever political reason or community development reason. There could be a question such as, in certain county in your state, we want to see how properties are performing or something like that. Those questions can come your way. How do you respond to those requests? The first one, step one is making sure those data has been captured in ProLinkHFA. If not, you have to create a way to capture data on a going forward basis. So NCSHA, the annual survey might have a couple of new questions, and you have to kind of see, are we collecting those data? And if you have not, you have to create a way to capture that on a going forward basis, such as making some modification to your upfront online application process, or it might be just during the recurring compliance stage. But you just have to create a way to capture data on a going forward basis. So next year, when you do another survey with NCSHA, you have data you can grab to respond to those surveys. And then once you have data, step 2 is locate the relevant data views and use filters to extract the right set of records. And then you can export into Excel. And sometimes you have to merge data in Excel using VLOOKUP. So sometimes going back to that little political or like community development type data request, where example might be, give me a list of properties that have reached year 15 in a certain county in my state that's financially performing well, something like that. You will go to compliance program data view and you use the filter for the compliance start date and set it so that the compliance start date will be greater than 15 years. So you're able to extract a list of properties that have reached 15-year compliance period within certain county in the state. But in order to get the financial information on those properties, you probably have to go to another data view, financial metrics data view, and then grab all the right financial metrics you need. And then you have to export those two data views into Excel and put them next to each other. Use VLOOKUP on property name or the property ID and merge those data together and provide reporting. So that's one example of how to use data views for ad hoc data query requests. The next one is data error detection and cleanup. So let's say example is isolate records that have null value in a certain field. So let's say in your portfolio you have like 700 properties, and you know that there are about some random properties out there who don't have asset managers assigned to. So how do you clean that up? You go through those 5 steps, go to the relevant data view and create a view in the view manager. This will be demonstrated by Jim Paris right after my presentation. But in the view manager, in the second tab, there's an advanced filter tab. You can add a field such as asset manager and set it equal to is empty, right? So you're looking for those null values on the asset manager column. Step 3, open the view, work through the list by clicking on each record, which you'll navigate to that page in ProLinkHFA, and then you can assign or populate that asset manager field with your team member. And then once that the team member's asset manager information is saved, you can go back, refresh the data view, and you'll see that that record has been disappeared. And obviously your end goal in this process is to remove all the records. So whenever you run this particular data view, there will be no record because everything has been cleaned up. So that's one way of using data view for data error detection and cleanup. The third use case is a first step of your workflow. So let's think about a list of properties that with incomplete inspections in the previous year. So the use case here is maybe you're doing site inspections every other year. So as you're looking at this year, you want to know what are the properties from last year that didn't have site inspections done. So you create this list of properties that don't have inspections from last year so that you can tackle them this year, right? Second example, a list of properties that have been scheduled for compliance audits. So the goal here is to look at all the properties that have a scheduled status on the compliance audit. And I want to make sure those properties are all getting the compliance audits done by end of this quarter or next quarter, right? So again, data view, 3 steps. First, let's locate the inspection data view. So I'm just referring to the very first example. Inspection data view, create a view in the view manager. The second tab, advanced filter tab, add the status field and set it not equal to completed, and then add another field called fiscal year end, and then set it equal to last year, right, 2021. And then once you save the view and open it, then you get the list of properties that have incomplete inspections in the previous year. So that is an example of how to use data view as a first step of your recurring asset management workflow. The last use case I'll be sharing here is a standard reporting. So generally I'm looking at financials. So example one is a financial performance across portfolio in the previous year. And the second example is watch list properties. How do we utilize data view? Step one, locate the financial metrics data view. Step two, create a view in the view manager. In the first tab, meaning choose fields tab, add relevant fields such as NOI, DCR, or total expense, total revenue, add all those relevant financial metrics data fields, and then go to the second field, second tab, advanced filter tab, and add the reporting type field, set it equal to annual. So you're grabbing only annual audited financials as opposed to budget or quarterly or monthly financials. And then set the fiscal year end to be, let's say 2021, save the view, and then you can export into Excel for additional analysis, such as you can calculate average sum or median value, and add any graphs to make it prettier. And you can use that as your standard reporting for your managers or your team to share the financial performance of the portfolio that you're managing. So that is the end of my presentation for Data View 101. And we're gonna turn it over to Jim to give a little demonstration of Data View in ProLinkHFA. Jim, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. Let me share my screen really quick. Awesome, awesome. So thanks again, Ryan and Bree, for kicking things off and passing it off to me here. As Ryan mentioned, I'm going to be demoing a few things for you guys today. And one thing I'll say is, we do realize that every agency is a little bit different. Every user within each agency is a little bit different in what they need to see from a data view standpoint. So today's presentation is less about the specific examples I'm showing, and is really going to be more focused on the different options, the different customizations, and the different tools that you have at your disposal, and how you can use them to find the information that you need for your specific agency or your specific role within the agency you're working with. So here I'm going to start with showcasing a little bit of that standard reporting use case. So say I'm somebody who's working at an agency and I'm in charge of keeping track of funding and how the funding is used for my different properties that are in development right now. The first report I've opened up is under development and deal funding. So here I have a view called portfolio grants, which is just going to run a simple view here of all the different grants that I have right now for my development properties, where they're coming from, and what the amount is. And I'll show you more as we go along the way, but I can go ahead and I can filter things based on a number of different criteria within this report by turning the filter grid on. So I can filter this by address or deal name, etc. And I'll show you more as I go along the way. I also have this funding sources forecasting report, which will show all the different funding sources for all of my different properties that are in development right now. I can see the amount, where it's coming from, the specific deal it's related to, what the loan is for, etc. And again, I can cut and slice things with the filter grid. I can sort them. Let's say I want to sort it by source name. I can do that pretty easily here as well. I can also group it by things like source name, etc. So a lot of different options here on how to cut and slice and categorize this data based on what I want to see and how I want to see it. Next, I'm going to go over to financials. And this is going to kind of go along with the kind of workflow and task management use case for our data views that Ryan was mentioning. So let's say you're working on making sure all of your annual reports are filed on time for the specific year. What you can do is you can go ahead and you can pull up this report. It'll give you a breakdown of all of your annual financials. And what I can do here is I can go in and I can filter by not received. And now I have a list of all of my annual financial reports that have not been completed yet. And what I can do is I can go through here and use it almost as a workflow tool to go and make sure, hey, I need to go into this property. I need to make sure that the annual financials get done in a reasonable time. I can also see the asset manager over here, so I can follow up with them regarding this property and regarding this property's annual financial reports, just by going through this data view down the list and filtering by reports that I haven't received yet. I can also cut and slice this using the view manager. So let's say I want a little bit less detail in this report. I just want to have kind of an easy breakdown here of who the specific asset manager is on these different properties. I can go here again. I can filter it by not received, and then I can sort it by asset manager, or I can go ahead and group it by asset manager, and then I can kind of collapse and expand and pull up a list of each asset manager and what annual financials I am owed by those asset managers. Another cool thing I can do with this report, I'll show you an example, is I can actually filter this by the field is null. So if I notice there's a couple properties here where the asset manager isn't filled out and that data is missing, and I want to make sure that data is inputted on all my properties, what I can do is I can pull up a list of all the different properties where the asset manager is not filled out and work through them and make sure that I go ahead, I clean up that data, I input that data. So we have everything we need within that property, and my data is clean and my data is complete. I can also just show you how I can build these reports. So let's say I want to create a completely new view. I'm not seeing what I want to see. Let's say, for example, I'm somebody in the finance department or somebody who's in charge of accounting and managing financials, and I want to see an easy breakdown of some key performance indicators from the financial side on my properties. What I can do here is I'm going to go to financial metrics under asset management. I'm going to go to my view manager, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new view. And let's say I want to see just some basic stuff like my cash flow, my debt coverage ratio, and my net operating income. And I'm going to call this, let's say, my financial health snapshot. I'm going to save this. And let's say I want to do an advanced filter. So let's say I only want to see my high risk properties. Let's say I want to look at all of my properties with a debt coverage ratio of less than 1. I'm going to save this. I'm going to refresh my page, and then my new data view will be available for me to look at. let me just try to switch and go back. So my financial snapshot will be here, and it will show me all of my properties here with a debt coverage ratio less than 1. As you can see, I could probably need to do some data cleanup here as well, because I do have a lot of zeros here. So there's probably a lot of missing data, but I can sort and filter it and see different information based on my cash flow and net operating income and debt coverage ratio. And here's what it looks like without that advanced filter. Let me refresh again. So I can pull up all these properties and see the different financial information related to them. And then I can go ahead, I can group it by property name as well. Again, doing that grouping. And the last thing I'm going to touch upon here is, I know everybody kind of just went through the NCSHA survey, reporting some statistics about your agency to NCSHA. So what I'm going to show you here is a way you can help fill out a portion of that survey. So let's say NCSHA is asking me the unit type breakdown of all of my 2020 tax credit deals. So let's say I want to look at all of my 2020 properties and their related units. I'm going to filter this by 2020 over here. And then you can see I have my unit types right here. What I can do is I can export this data view just like any other data view here. And then in Microsoft Excel, I have all this data broken out for me. And what NCSHA is asking for is a percentage breakdown of how many units are 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, and SRO, which would be 0 bedroom. So I'm going to go here, highlight this. I'm going to click Analyze Data and create a pivot table. And then I'm going to go to Count the Field, Show Values by percent of grand total. And this gives you an example of how you can kind of quickly run that percentage breakdown to help fill out some of your NCSHA survey data. And actually, I lied. I am going to show you one last thing. If you are an admin user, you can choose to make certain data views public versus private. So I'm going to go over to financials and show you some of these reports. So let's say I want to go ahead and I want to make some of these reports private or public. I can go back to my annual financial reporting and I can go ahead and I can edit that view and make it public or private. So that's all I had for today. I'll pass it on to Bree to close things out.
Great, thank you. Hopefully everybody can see my screen again. Just a couple of reminders as we wrap up. For next time, our ProLinkHFA quarterly training event. So that will be July 13th at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to cover our HUD export guidance and functionality, and we're really going to be focusing in on how to use the HUD data export utility, how to reconcile with missing data, and how to reconcile errors during that HUD upload. So that'll be a good informative kind of training style event, a little bit more deep into the functionality compared to these 45-minute sessions. So we look forward to seeing you there. Again, please email us and let us know if you have any additional topics. We'd love to hear about those. And we will see you next month. Everybody have a great 4th of July too, because it'll be after that. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.